Hi, welcome to Life After Everything. This is an 18 plus podcast due to language and the material being discussed and has the potential to trigger anyone in the areas of abuse, addiction, death, murder, cartel, mob, LGBTQ plus, or religion. Please feel free to pause and step away for a minute or skip over parts if necessary. While we want to share our stories with you in their fullness, we care about the impact they may have, and we want you to do what you need to do for yourselves. So if that means that this is not the podcast for you, please honor yourself in that. Hi, my name is Tam Gentry, and I'm a Gen X mom of a teen with ADHD, whose navigation of my husband's gender transition left me deconstructing my faith and rising from the ashes of my life. This podcast is where I unpack identity, relationships, healing, and what it actually looks like to rebuild your life when the script you were given no longer fits. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Tiffany Hannah. And around here, we're going to talk about the real stuff: the heartbreak, the trauma, the toxic relationships, fate, family, survival, chaos, all of it. This is a place for people who've been through some things. Some episodes will make you
Mm-hmm.
laugh, some might make you cry. Some might have you sit in your car saying, "Did they really just say that?" Because we did.
Oh,
Um,
yes, we did.
we did. We said it.
We did.
This life after everything, and you're crazy really may not be that crazy after all. Hi, guys. We're
Hi,
so
well,
excited.
we are so excited that you're all here with us, and we appreciate all the time that you've already invested. And if you haven't been here with us before, we can get a little candid in our conversations, and that can be a little shocking sometimes, probably,
This
but
we are always candid.
we are always candid, and we might get in our feels, and that's okay too. Just come along for the ride. So,
And
anyway,
be
last time, oh, go.
I was just gonna say, and be ready, because today, we're really this is gonna be a deep one. Like, we're really
Yes.
getting stuff today, so we hope you're ready for it.
Today is going to be a lot about loss. Tiffany's loss, my loss. It's going to be a lot about loss. So if you're not in a good headspace for that, then this might be one that once we get in, you might decide that you want to come back to it.
Right. And we're okay with that. We're completely okay with that.
Absolutely. So anyway, last time we were talking, Tiffany, you were telling us about Jamie, and I think the way to start this one is, well, all about him and you. So.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, thank you. So most of you guys that are following us on Facebook, I've posted like some videos of Jamie and I. Let me say before I, because there's a lot of bad, but there's a lot of good. Let me just say that he was the love of my life, the greatest man I've ever known, the greatest father that I've ever seen in action. And he didn't have, you know, he didn't have a very good family dynamic growing up. He had really been through a lot of things that made, when him and I reconnected, which made me feel like it was going to be a safe place. But so let's talk about
That's
how I
so
met Jamie.
important. That's so
Yeah,
important.
I really, I believed all the things. But when I first met Jamie, my boyfriend's name was Javier. And let's just say that he was from a very influential Colombian family. Let's just say that. Um, and there used to be this strip club in Atlanta called the Gold Rush. And right like down the hill from the Gold Rush, there was a trailer park. And Javier owned a bunch of trailers in that trailer park. We won't talk about what he was doing in them. We'll just say he owned them. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's not go there.
So, and this particular trailer park, it was predominantly I can't speak. Predominantly Spanish people, like either they were Colombian or they were Mexican. And there was a guy that was getting these little girls off the school bus and raping them.
Oh my
And no
God.
matter Oh, horrible. No matter how many times they called the cops, no matter what they did, the cops weren't doing anything about it. And one night, me and Javier and by the way, statute of limitations does not it's not going to bother me at this point. It's been like over 30 years. Anyway, so we leave the trailer park, or when we leave the strip club, we're walking down to the trailer park, and there's the guy, and he's like, "Oh, there's the borracho." And for you guys that don't speak Spanish, like borracho is not what you want to be called. It basically means like you're a drunk, you're a loser, like all those things. And let's just say, long story short, things didn't end up well for that guy that night. Um, and the next
Mm.
morning, me and Javier are in this trailer and discussing previous events that had happened the day before. And a car pulls up, and a guy gets out of the car. This really big guy, he was like 6 feet tall, and he's like beating on this trailer door. And I'm standing there looking at Javier, like, "Oh my god, what do we do now? There's a white boy at the door. Like, what the fuck?"
Wow.
Javier opens the door. Jamie sees him, and he hands him, like, the metal buckets you used to get when you'd go, like, to like, Texas Roadhouse, not Texas Roadhouse, can't think of them, they'd be filled with
Oh,
peanuts or whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So,
yeah.
it was like a metal tin full of methamphetamines. So
Oh my
he gets it,
gosh.
hands it to him, and is like, "Oh, just go, I'll call you tomorrow." And he shuts the door, and I look at Javier, and I'm like, "That's it. We're both going to jail. You just let that fucking gringo leave, like, knowing what he knows and what he saw. We're both going to jail. Go fucking get him." Well,
Oh gosh.
Jamie's car with like four other people. And then I'm really freaking out. I'm like, these fucking white people, white boys, gringos just saw this. Like, we're going to jail for the rest of our life. It's going to be all the way bad. All this. Anyway, so Jamie leaves. And I tell Javier, "You're going to jail. We're all going to jail. We're going to go to jail for the rest of our fucking life. Like, you're stupid." Well, what happens? Like 3 weeks later, Jamie goes to jail,
Oh,
and he got charged. Basically, he was running guns for Javier, and they found the guns. They didn't rat on Javier. There were some people that went down because of it, but it wasn't Javier and it wasn't me, right?
right.
So, the next thing I know, let's fast forward into the future 16 years. Okay. So 16 years goes by. During that 16 years that had passed, I've been to prison, all the things that happened. I got my life together. I was the international educator for a very large brand. I won't say, I'll, give everybody respect where they need it. I won't talk about those things. But if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you're going to see. Anyway, so I had rebuilt my life from the bottom up. I already had Angelo. Mike was still alive back then. I had purchased a house, and I had a live-in nanny, and I had started trying to date again. Well, I'm literally at my uncle's house hanging out with my niece Juliana, and we're drinking, and it's like 2 days after Thanksgiving, and I'm on Facebook, and I see Jamie, and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, he is so fine." Like, I know he's in prison for 13 years, but my god, that's beautiful. So I sent him a message, and I'm like, "Hey, yo, what's up?" And he messages me back. He's like, "Tiffany?" Like, "Tiffany Hannah, Tiffany?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me, bro." And he was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And honestly, he thought in his brain, what I now know, he thought Javier had got me to call him, when really me and my cousin were drinking it, or my niece and my cousin were drinking. And I'm thinking, he's so fine. Like, I just had to message him. Right.
Oh,
So he tells me,
wow.
he says, "I'm busy right now. I have a date." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I just gave you the fucking chance to hang out with me, and you're going to tell me you have a date." I was like, "Whatever. Fuck you. Call me when you get smart." He texted me,
I'm
he texted
sorry.
me 15 minutes later and said, "I put her on the MARTA. Come see me." And
Oh,
I
that's
did.
awesome.
Yes, he did. And I won't say her name, but
No.
anyway, she needed to be on the MARTA. Me and my niece look at each other like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I'm going over there. Like, I'm gonna, and I take it because I love to play cards. So I take a deck of cards with me. I'm like, I'm fixing to kick his ass at poker. Like, we're gonna play cards. And I go over there, and he was very nervous. He was very standoffish. He really thought that the people had wanted me to figure out where he was and had sent me to find him.
Oh, he
So,
thought he was on a list.
oh yeah, he thought he was on the list. And I mean, I was that.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you owed them money, I was the girl that showed up. So, and he didn't owe money, but some shit went down, and it was shady, and he thought I was the reason, I'm coming to find him for them. So
Right.
we hung out, and I left, and I remember leaving thinking, my God, that is the most beautiful man I have ever seen. How did I not fucking know he was going to be so fine? And he was like 6'4". huge, huge, covered in tattoos, beautiful. And if you want to see beautiful, look at my Facebook, look at my Instagram. That man was beautiful. Um, every weakness that I have in a man, he embodied. And there wasn't every
Mm.
single one of them. Well, he and I started hanging out on a regular basis. He would come to my house all the time. And Jamie always he had girls. Like he listen to this. He had so many girls. I dubbed his phone the whore bell. His
Oh
phone
my
would
God.
ring. I would be like, "Your whore bell's going off. Bye. See you later." Well, after, I
That's
mean,
funny.
it was serious. I didn't and I kept telling him, he would say, "I'm gonna marry you one day," and I was like, "Dude, I'm never even gonna date you, like, we're never getting married." Well, after about 6 months of this, like, and my kid fell Angelo fell in love with him. I had a live-in nanny at the time, and I was working a lot. I would come home, and he would be folding the laundry, and I would look at Linda and be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "He wanted to do the laundry," and I'm like, "Okay." Um,
That's great. That's
6 months
wonderful.
of this, and he finally was like, "Okay, what do I have to do for you to take me seriously?" And I was like, "Give me your phone right now." And he was like, "What?" And I said, "Hand me your phone, go home, and then talk to me tomorrow. Maybe I'll go on a date with you." And he was like, "Okay, no questions asked," handed me his phone. I wanted his phone because I wanted to see how serious he was, right? Like, what is he telling all these other girls in
Right.
town? He had been telling everybody, like, "I met somebody. I gotta see where this goes. Like, I'm sorry." And I literally called my bestie
Aw.
over. I'm like, "Girl, come over here. Like, we fixing to troll his phone." There was nothing. He had told everybody and had been telling them for months, "I'm sorry. I can't see you anymore. I met somebody. I gotta see where this goes." So then I tell him, I'm like, he comes over the next day when he gets off work because I have his phone. He can't call me. And he was like, "Will you go on a date with me?" And I was like, "All right, I'll go on a date with you. Like, let's just see if you friend zoned yourself. I'll go on a date with you." So when I went on the date with him, my kid already loved him, right? And he knew my past. I knew his past, but he at the time had a really good job and was working really hard to rebuild his life. And when I started seeing the way that other women reacted to him, it was a total turn on. I was like, "Okay, I'm not crazy. This motherfucker is all the way fine, and he is all the way about me." Like, so we go back to my
Now,
house, literally. Yeah,
hold on.
go ahead.
You knew him back from when
Yeah,
you were like 15, right?
yeah,
You met like
yep.
15 years old.
I was
So,
yeah, 16, yeah.
yeah. So, did you not have, I mean, I know you were Javier's girl, so you didn't have any access to him. He didn't have any access to you. That was a done deal. But did you look at him and see him as fine back then? Did you have
Okay,
any
so
inclination that
let's
direction?
talk about that for a second. Um, there were a couple of occasions, like he was with my friend Laura one time, and Laura is still doing FaceTime. And I saw him and I was like, "Man, he's good looking," but he was so crazy, Tam. Like for me back then, I was like, "He's a loose cannon." Like Javier
Oh.
killed him, and it for me, even though I thought he was very intriguing, it wasn't worth it. I'm like, Javier will kill him. Like it ain't worth it. He ended up dead. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't worth me getting him killed over, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so after we go on this date, we go back to my house and we're drinking, and I get smashed. Like, okay, I don't. That's
You got white girl wasted again,
I
didn't you?
did. It doesn't happen a lot.
I'm beginning to see a pattern, Tiff.
You bitch. I'm just, you have seen me when I'm white girl wasted. Okay, guys. And it doesn't. I speak fluent Spanish, and when I get white girl wasted, I get unhinged. Like I get very. No,
We're
Tam,
not
no,
going to talk about the other night.
we're
Not,
not. We're not gonna talk
not,
about that. We're
not
gonna
right
talk about.
now. We got to stay
So
on track.
I'm drinking and I get my courage up and I said, I'm like, "Okay, so let me just kiss you." And he was like, "What?" Because the first time he tried to kiss me, I ducked. And he was like, "Nobody's ever done that to me before." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa. Like, this is not that kind of rodeo." So this time I'm drinking, I get my courage up and I'm like, "Let me just see if you have friend zoned yourself. Like, how bad is it? Like, can we get past it?" Because we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. I kissed him and that was it.
Uh-huh.
We were together every day and every night after that. Like he
So you were
uh,
hooked. One kiss and you were hooked.
Girl, let me just tell you, we won't talk about oh, yeah, we won't go there. But let's just say it had been a minute because I'm not a whore. I've never been not that girl. And it had been a minute anyway, and I got my courage up, and I was like and he was fine. And I was like, "Okay, let me just see," and he kissed me, and I was like, "Okay, that's it." Like, the stars aligned, the heavens parted, we're singing, like, everything.
The angels were singing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, needless to say, we had I mean, okay, this is if you are under the age of 18, turn us off. We had
I think we
um,
started there, but
yeah,
yeah.
we did. Just in case, we had amazing sex, like, and it was great, like, and yeah, it was life was great. But
Life was
we
great.
for the first 4 years, he was every girl's dream.
Mm,
I ended up letting go of my live-in nanny. He went back to college. I put him through college twice, because in my brain, I thought I was working towards our future, right?
of
Um,
course.
so one of the most important days of my life. So if you're in the hair industry, there is something called Intercoiffure. Intercoiffure is the largest group of elite stylists in the world. They meet twice a year, and you don't get in, you get invited in, and you get invited, and you have to go interview to find out if you're good enough to be a part of Intercoiffure. The greatest,
Fancy?
the best stylists in the world are members of Intercoiffure. Like it's a big thing. I had my first interview, one of the biggest days of my life. I'd worked 20 years to get there. I'm
Wow.
Boca Raton, Florida, getting ready for my interview, and I get a phone call from Javier. And he's like, "Oh, do you know where your husband is?" "I know where your husband is. He just bought some cocaine." And I'm like, he's supposed to be home with Angelo. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" Needless to say, my interview blotched. I took a red eye flight from Boca Raton
Oh,
back to Atlanta. I come home and he was higher than Cooter Brown. And
oh no.
I told him he had to leave. He had to pack all his stuff and he had to get out. And of course, I mean, it was a whole ordeal. He left, and at that point, Jamie and I had been together 5 years. Um,
Wow.
he and I told him, I said, "You can't come back until you take active part in your recovery. Like, I'm not gonna do this for you. Like, if you want to be a part of my life, I can't lose everything. I can't be around somebody that's constantly getting high. One day I will get high. Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't live with an active addict. Get your shit
Right.
together if you want to be a part of my life." Come to find out, he had started dabbling in pain pills. So I won't go into the details of it. Someone that he had a child with 20 years earlier, a child who's who's never really a part of this kid's life. This person had the child, gave the kid up for adoption, but she had always been like a when Jamie was messing up, that's who she'd call, right?
Oh.
I'm out of town working all the time. I'm putting him through school. He's not having to work. He calls her. She gets him some pain pills. He started taking pain pills. So
Oh.
he put on something called Suboxone. Um, and it was very expensive. And then he was great again. Then it was like I had Jamie back for 3 years. And uh, let me just say this: who, if you're hearing this and you're listening to this and you know who I'm talking about, like she destroyed my. I'm not going to say she destroyed my life. But how do you look at a person who has been sober for 17 years and say to them, "Here, let me give you back your addiction. Let me give you back everything you fought so hard. Let me just take your life away from you because that's what this is going to do." Or even if, for me,
I completely understand you saying that. I think that people who have had long-term addiction and have people around them who participated in that with them, I think that there is I'm no psychologist, I'm no expert, but I think that there's like a psychological underpinning that when people see someone rise out of their circumstance,
Yep.
whether it is emotional or from addiction or whatever the case may be, when people see someone rise out of their circumstance, there are some people that cheer you on and give you support and all this stuff, and there are other people that only want to see you come back under that bondage, back into that space.
And,
And I
I
don't
that, and I think that, and I honestly think part of it was nobody ever believed he would become what he was for me. Like he was on the dean's list. He was in college. Like he came from a very broken family. Like, he quit school, like, 2 weeks before graduation because he didn't have tennis shoes to wear to school. Like, I mean, he had a very
Wow.
hard life, and to see someone go from that to we had the life. Like, I was traveling all the time, we were going on vacation, he was a daddy, and he gave to me something that I think that maybe somewhere inside of her that she didn't ever think he could be, maybe she wished she woulda I don't know. All I know is that started the beginning of the end. Jamie got a job working for a company called DHL, which is, like, one of the largest shipping companies in the world.
Yes.
And at the time, it was, uh, so I'd already lost almost everybody at that point. Jamie was all I had left. My father-in-law died, Mike died, and my mother-in-law died in the same house in Peachtree City. And at the time, I was holding on to the house because for me, it kept me connected to them, and Angelo loved being there. It's where he saw his daddy, it's where he saw his grandparents. And
Right.
although I owned a house in White Oak and Noonan, like, right off the golf course, I stayed in Peachtree City. And DHL was very close to where we were staying, so it was just easy. Jamie starts working for DHL, 3rd shift, and, 2
Now,
weeks before.
does
Yeah,
DHL not drug test their workers, or maybe only
but
their drivers?
he was clean then.
Oh,
And
okay.
you get
He
and
was
there's
just
a difference in smoking weed that's in your system for 30 days and then
right.
like opiates that are out of your system in 72 hours.
That's true. That is a very good
Yeah.
point.
There's a very big difference in those 2
Yeah.
things, and
You can get high on Friday night and go to work Monday morning, be drug tested. It's no big deal.
be as long as you drink water, you're good.
Right.
If I said I didn't see the signs, I'd be lying. So I had a conversation with Jamie 2 weeks before he died, and I'm so sorry. Like, I said, "Look at me." Like, because I knew, like, in my heart, in my bones, Tam, I knew I could feel it coming. I knew it was coming. I said,
Yeah.
"I need you to do me a favor. I need you to," because the man I married was an atheist. The man that died was not.
Mm.
When we started talking about marriage, I was like, "I'm Catholic. Like, I can't marry you without going through pre-Cana." And for those people in the world that aren't Catholic, pre-Cana is premarital counseling where you talk about everything, kids, money, sex. And a lot of people that finish with pre-Cana end up not getting married. So,
They actually do premarital counseling in other segments of Christianity as well.
so it's
But
required to get married in the Catholic Church. You have to.
right,
Like, it's
right,
not optional.
right.
Um, I do know they do it in other sectors, other religions. However, in order to be married in a Catholic church, even if your spouse isn't Catholic, you have to go through pre-Cana, right?
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter whether they're Catholic or not. It's
They
still
have to go
required.
through pre-Cana with you. Yes.
Okay.
We went
Okay.
pre-Cana, and my priest loved him. My priest said that he had met people like Jamie that were just so good that they just couldn't understand sacrifice for the greater good. And Jamie was that guy. Like,
Mm.
he was that guy. I mean, I would clean out my closet once a year, because I was very busy, and I would always just throw my clothes away. He would take my clothes, bag them up, and take them to the women's, like, homeless shelter.
I
Like,
love that.
he was, um, the most amazing person I've ever met. Uh, I looked at him 2 weeks before he died, and I was like, "Babe, do me a favor. Promise me." I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
I said, "Promise me before you die, you ask God to forgive you." And he was like, "What?" And I said, "Babe, I just need you to promise me, like, don't think about me. Don't think about Angelo. Ask God to forgive you because I have to know when I close my eyes here and I wake up in the next place, like, you're going to be there with me." And he said, "Okay, I promise." I'm sorry. You hear the train in the background? Uh,
It's okay.
2 weeks later, I found him with a needle in his arm.
Wow.
Um, and here's what I'll say. Like, it was, the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life after already losing everybody. Um, I've never been loved like that. I don't think I'll ever be loved like that again. And I've heard people say a lot, like, I don't know what that's like. Like, people wait their whole lives to have that. Let me, the loss of that is deafening in a way that you cannot put into words.
I can only imagine. I mean, I have loved and I have been loved to some degree, but I have never been loved in the way that I have longed for in the way that you describe.
And I wish that love for everybody. Like, I hope that's something that everybody at some point in their life can feel. However,
Mhm.
what I can say is the tragic loss of it. And, in our next segment, we'll go into that. It destroyed me. Like, it literally destroyed me. It destroyed me. And speaking of being destroyed, let's get off me for a minute because I'm getting a little bit emotional here. And speaking of like loss and it like leveling us, like literally leveling everything for us. Can we talk
Yeah.
your loss a little bit, Tam?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was telling Tiffany, and I'll tell you guys, today is the 37th anniversary of the day that I gave birth to my stillborn daughter. And so I'm aging myself very quickly. I was 20 years old um, when I gave birth to her, and she died in utero. It was, it was. I'm going to go back in the story a little bit. When I got pregnant with Karen, her name is Karen. When I got pregnant with Karen, uh, I was in a marriage to a man who was not healthy, and certainly was not healthy for me. And I knew that the marriage was not going to last. I had already seen enough signs, I already understood enough about the dynamics, even if I was too young to really get it all. And anyway, when I got pregnant, I didn't want to be at that point. I had been trying. I'd had a lot of female issues and had a lot of surgeries and stuff by that time. And but then when I actually found out that I was pregnant, then I was like, no, 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 I don't want to be pregnant. I already can see the writing on the wall here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be tied to him for the rest of my life. I don't want to end up in that space. And that felt terrible, of course, because um, who wants to feel that way about their unborn child? Nobody, no woman on the face of the planet wants to be in a position where they're like, no, I don't want you.
But hold on, I think that for anybody that's realized they were pregnant and it be, you know, circumstances that are undesirable, there's not a mother in the world, Tan, that wouldn't say she felt that at some point.
Oh, I have no doubt that many women feel that way. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that if for me at least, feeling that way left me with a whole nother layer of feeling guilt and feeling like I was wrong. I was bad. Not, there's a difference between shame and guilt. Guilt says I did something bad. Shame says I am bad. And most of us grow up with shame based thinking. And I was no exception to that.
Right.
And so I was in that place of, I don't want her. I'm crying out to God, even then going like, no, no, no. And my, my first husband um, he was a bit of a mess. And to say that he lived in a little bit of his own little fantasy world would kind of be an understatement as far as I'm concerned. He
So
he may he
when
may
you say
disagree, but
when
go
you say
on.
mess, do you mean like physically, mentally, chemically? Like, can you drill down on that for us just a little bit?
Yeah, um, I don't know if he will ever come across this or not. Probably not, but if he ever did, I'm hopefully it won't be in too much of an issue. He grew his family was broken. He came from a broken home, and he had a stepfather who was not um kind to him or his mother.
Okay.
And I don't want to go into details because that's his story, not mine.
Right.
But let's just say that when he came out of Chicago into Northwest Indiana to go live with his dad, there was an incident that happened with his mom that forced him to make that move. And when he did that, that made it possible for me to meet him. I met him between my junior and senior year of high school. He was lifeguarding at my apartment community. And, what's a young
You
girl gonna
know.
do?
Yeah, you know.
So anyway, I
Listen, for those of us that have the Baywatch fantasies, we're in for it.
Baywatch came way after that. That was like 1984, 1985, something like that. Oh, I guess it would have been
But we
84.
can picture it.
But
I'm saying is we can picture it. We got
yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, um, when he met me, I smoked cigarettes. I smoked for like 20 years. And then I finally quit around the year 2000, 2001. But before that, I had been smoking, and so when he met me, I was a smoker, and he hated it, hated it. I didn't smoke in our apartment. I didn't smoke in the house. I always went outside. I was always respectful that way. But he so hated it. And so when I got pregnant, I was already under this layer of stress from my marriage and where things were at that way and all the pressure and the stress that I was feeling from that. And then I felt the pressure and stress of adding this situation of being pregnant and the idea of having a child with him into the mix, and that was bad. And so I went to my doctor and I'm like, look, I'm a smoker, and I'm I'm under a tremendous amount of stress. I told him the situation, how I was feeling about my marriage, and I just gave him information, right? Because that's what I thought I needed to do. And he looked at me and he said, honestly, if you could cut your cigarettes back to one or two a day, um, that would probably be less stress on that baby, on the fetus, than you trying to quit altogether right now with everything that's happening in your life. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can cut back to one or two a day. He's like, keep it to one or two. I said, I will. And I did. I kept it to one or two. I'd have one sometimes in the morning and I'd have one in the evening maybe. But I did. I kept it to one or two and I did that consistently. And I went in for all my checkups and everything seemed normal, except that I had weird responses to pregnancy. Normally people get morning sickness and all that. I didn't really get morning sickness. What I got was if I did not eat, I would feel sick. It was not about waking up feeling sick. It was never that, ever, ever, ever. And but if I didn't eat when I needed to eat, my body would start feeling sick. And so I had that. I was losing weight consistently throughout the first few months of my pregnancy. And I went in and he's like, you can eat. You don't have to worry about gaining weight. And I'm like, I am eating. I'm eating normally. I'm just not like loading on the calories. But I was losing weight. And when you're 5 feet tall and 105 pounds, the last thing a doctor wants to see is you losing weight when you're pregnant. They just don't want to see that. So he was like, you need to eat more. You need to be gaining weight, not losing weight. And I'm like, okay. So I started doing things like eating quarter pounders with cheese with French fries and a Coke at lunch. And I
it.
started putting on weight. Of course, it wasn't the right kind of weight. It was really
But it was
unhealthy,
still wet.
but it satisfied his need. Right. So anyway, I got to, um, 6 months. Oh, I need to say this. When Randy found out that I was only cutting back to one or two cigarettes a day, he went ballistic. He was so pissed, so upset. And he yelled at me and he told me that if there was anything wrong with that baby, that it would be my fault because I was smoking.
Wow.
And that sank deep. It really sank deep. So when I hit 6 months and when I went in for my 6 month checkup and they couldn't find a heartbeat, I was panicked, absolutely panicked. And they sat and they did an ultrasound and they watched to see if they could see her heart beating on the ultrasound since they couldn't hear it. And they couldn't. They watched her for like 10 minutes at the doctor's office. Then they had me drink more water and sent me over to the hospital where they watched her for another 15, 20 minutes before they declared her dead. And I took those words and, the first words out of my mouth with my doctor, of course, were, "Did I do this? Is this my fault? Is this my fault?" And he said no. I mean, his instantaneous response was no. This was absolutely not because you were smoking a cigarette or two a day. That had nothing to do with this. That might have made the baby a little lighter, but it wouldn't. Maybe she would have had a slightly lower birth weight. But no, that had nothing to do with this. And he assured me of that, but that did not fix the guilt and the shame that I felt because I didn't want her. And then I was smoking and I was being blamed by my husband. And, um, and then, of course, because I was far enough along, uh, to give birth, I got to give birth. And so they had me come back in the next morning and they gave me suppositories to dilate my cervix, and they gave me Pitocin drips at like 60, which was like the maximum that they could give. That was my understanding, at
So
least.
you went through the whole entire labor, like, you
You have no idea. You have no idea. They did this, and then they gave me morphine to help with the pain because they knew that I was like emotionally a wreck. Right? My kid just died. My fetus just died. So, and I was like blaming myself and being blamed and, all the stuff. And so they were trying to help with the pain. So at least I wouldn't have to suffer from the pain. But what they did not see coming, or maybe they did, I don't think they did though, based on their responses, the morphine would stop my contractions. So I ended up in labor for 25 hours for a baby that I knew was dead.
wow. Wow.
And so they finally had to stop giving me the pain medication and let me just suffer through it because I wasn't getting anywhere. Um, and my mom and dad lived in Minnesota at the time, and so they didn't make it down for Karen's birth. Uh, Randy's mom came from Chicago, and she was there, and his grandmother was there. And that was a support for me because he was nowhere to be found. I don't know where he was, but he was running around the hospital in his little scrubs or whatever. He was not in the room with me. He wasn't around. So, if you've ever been induced, you know that stuff's hard on your system. My temples were throbbing. I was excrementing all over myself and having to be cleaned up by nurses. It was not pretty. It was not anything I'd ever wish on any woman ever. It was horrible. And so I will say this though, the silver lining in it was when I don't know what birthing rooms and things are like, now, but back then they took me into what looked like kind of almost like an operating room, and they had my feet up in, had my put my legs up or whatever on these platforms. They weren't stirrups really. They were more like platforms that my legs laid on. And then there was this big giant mirror up at the corner of the ceiling aimed at my nether regions. So I'm like pushing and I'm watching in the mirror as this baby is coming out of my body. And I got to tell you, in that moment, I was in complete awe of the human body. Absolute complete awe. I was like, every female should go through this at least once in her life. I totally disagree with that now, by the way, because there is a whole like group effort of taking care of that child after the fact. And that I have learned that is not as easy as I once thought
Takes a
it would be.
It takes a village.
Yeah, well, I've never had a village. So um, that's a whole different story. But I just remember looking up and thinking, this is really awesome. Now, you do have to remember that that actual delivery was not hard for me. It was 2 pushes and she was out because she was teeny tiny. Like, we're talking about 6.5 months, not nearly 10.
Right.
Very different. Their babies put on so much weight at the
They did. It was
end
cra
of the pregnancy. So she was small, but I held her in my arms, and her grandmother held her, and I'm pretty sure her great grandmother held her. And I have pictures of the funeral and stuff. And I'm actually, I actually made a decision about, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks ago. I haven't been to her gravesite in, well, since she was buried 37 years ago. And I'm going to go back. I haven't been there, but I'm going to go back. I'm going back to Chicago this summer. And so I'm going to go. I think it'll be good for me to
I
bring
just
closure on some level there where
it can be. I think it can be very healing. And I just want to say, like, I commend you. Like, I can, I have 2 children, one with special needs. Even when he was born, we didn't know. We thought, well, we can get into that the next episode. Like, we thought, he was going to be perfect. But life was never what we expected.
your sound is a little bit wonky, just a little bit.
I'm wonky, sorry. I was just saying, maybe
That's better.
our next episode we can get into a little bit about, because I've had 2 children, and they were both when they were both born, they were healthy. Like, we didn't know anything was wrong. So I commend you, and my heart goes out to you. Like, and for the people listening that have like experienced something like this, like, as a mother, like, I get it, and I'm sorry, and I love you, Tam.
Aw, I love you too. And it has been a very long time ago, and I dealt with the mourning and the grieving for the most part, a long, long, long time ago. But I'm expecting that there will be some emotion that surfaces when I go to the gravesite. I expect that. I have been finding that when I revisit things that I have long since abandoned, that that emotion does surface, and then I get an opportunity to process it. And that's it's really good. It's really healthy to do that. We don't want to do it a lot of times, but we really need to. And so,
We do, for sure. And I think that's a good note for us to end on. And when we pick back up next time, we can talk about that, like what that looks like, pausing on those emotions when you and then going back and revisiting them, like good, bad, and different, and what that feels like and what that looks like.
yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. So you guys, thank you so much for being with us and filling the fills with us.
Yes, thank you guys for coming.
And just like that, another conversation comes to a close. Thank you for spending this time with us, laughing with us, crying with us, and healing with us. Remember, no matter what life has thrown your way, your story isn't over. This is Life After Everything, where we prove there is life, love, and laughter and healing after the hardest chapters of your life. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and remember, your crazy's not that crazy.
Definitely not that crazy. Thanks, you guys, for coming and or listening to this podcast, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.